Hello, this is Dr. Sujata Magdum, Assistant Professor in Zoology, KTHM College, Nashik. Today, I'll be dealing with Biological Chemistry for TYBSc student. The paper code is ZY333 and the chapter is Introduction to Biological Chemistry. Topic of today's discussion is Structure of Water Part 2 and also some physico-chemical properties of water shall be discussed. Now, you will wonder that does really water is a structured molecule? The answer is yes, because you know that you have understood in lower classes that the three states of water is water in the liquid form, or the ice in the solid form, or vapors into the gaseous form. Hence, we can say that there exist three states of water. Now today we are going to try understand the solid state of water, that is the structure of ice and the structure of liquid form of water along with certain properties. Now liquid water to begin with, you know that water it is liquid in form at room temperature and solidifies when the temperature is reduced. Now this is only because in the earlier class we have understood the structure of water, wherein we get to know that there is intramolecular hydrogen bonds which keep the water molecules, which is consisting of one molecule of oxygen and two molecules of hydrogen together, and every time the oxygen atom will show presence of two hydrogen bonds as well as two pairs of lone electron. As a result of this lone pair of electron and the hydrogen bond, the structure of water, I should say, there is appearance of a tetrahedral structure wherein each water molecule will be seen surrounded by four other molecules of water. Thus, in liquid state, water exists as associated liquid. In this associated liquid, various numbers of water molecules are present and they are held together by weak bonds. Now here in the diagram you can see the dotted bonds which are shown. These are basically the weak intermolecular bonding, whereas the strong hydrogen bonds, they are shown with the help of dark lines. Now in free water molecule, we can say it is showing dynamic equilibrium, indicating that whatever bonds are present, the intermolecular bonds are present, they have the tendency either to reform, or they can collapse, or they can once again be seen distorted. Because of this feature, because of this dynamic nature of hydrogen bonding, the water molecule, it shows free floating condition. Now the second one what we are going to discuss is the structure of ice. You know that water freezes and it results into formation of the ice, which is actually the crystalline form of water. There are 9 crystalline form of ice known, and at atmospheric temperature, ice crystallizes in normal form, but at low temperature it condenses to form a cubic forms of ice cubes. In normal hexagonal ice, oxygen is tetrahedral with 4 other oxygens surrounded to it with the help of hydrogen atoms, wherein 2 hydrogen atoms are strong covalently bounded with oxygen and the other 2 are bounded with 2 weak hydrogen bonds, which are actually because of the lone pair of electrons. Further, this situation leads to formation of an open cage-like structure, and in this open cage-like structure, every time oxygen will be seen surrounded with 4 hydrogen atoms. Now, weak hydrogen bonds are always seen longer, which is seen in between the two water molecules. Suppose if you consider 2 red spheres which are indicating the oxygen. So in between the first molecule and the second molecule, there is presence of a long hydrogen bond. These molecules, you can see, they are loosely arranged, and this loosely arranged nature of the water molecule gives rise to formation of the crystalline form. Because of this crystalline nature, there are large number of vacant spaces observed, and these vacant spaces leads to bringing about the or is the cause of the density, which enables the water molecule to float onto the surface. Because they are vacant, doesn't show presence of any compact arrangement of any other atom, and therefore the density is low as compared to the density of water, right? And helps this ice to always be seen floating onto the surface of water. Then we shall start with the properties, that is cohesion. The cohesion property occurs as a result of polarity. If you recall, or if you remember, yesterday we talked about the polarity of the molecule, wherein the oxygen is partially negative whereas hydrogen is partially positive. And because these two partial positive and negative charges, they are present onto the same molecule, we can say that water molecule exhibits polarity. And this polarity is the cause of forming different hydrogen bonds within the water. Now we are going to consider here the tetrahedral arrangement once again, which gives the strength to the water droplet, and that results into the condition which is called as cohesion. So you have to remember that the property cohesion is basically because of sticking of the different water molecules together, and that is because millions of water molecules are seen collected together, which are having the tetrahedral nature. A single droplet of water contains therefore millions of water molecules, and these millions of water molecules are held together by means of cohesive forces which are trying to pull each other, and this pulling results into smallest possible arrangement, which causes the sphere to happen, and that leads to formation of water droplets, right? Then the second one is solvent. You know that water, it is acting as the universal solvent. Now this universal solvent has the ability to dissolve many organic and inorganic substances which either have the charged or polar regions. This is solubility is only because of the charged or the polar region, you can say. The polar attraction of large quantities of water molecules can interrupt intramolecular forces and results into dissociation of water. Positive atoms, that is sodium, if we consider the solution of sodium chloride, wherein the sodium's positive end will be seen surrounded with the negative end of the oxygen in the water molecule, and therefore the Cl minus will be always seen surrounded with the positive hydrogen atom of the water molecule. Because of this, water is often or wrongly referred to be the universal solvent. It is, however, a very good solvent for many other substances. Soluble substances such as sucrose can be easily transported into the phloem of the plants because it gets readily dissolved into water, and then it can move where it is needed by the process called as mass flow. Then we also know that water, it acts as a reactant. Now to understand this, you need to go into the depth of the cell. You know that cell contains large amount of water where dissolved substances are seen present, and these dissolved substances, they tend to remain within the cell or come out of the cell by the process called as diffusion. This is essential to maintain the homeostasis of the cell, and at the same time it helps in the process of transportation. Therefore, whatever reactions are going on, whatever metabolic changes are going on within the cell, it is within the solution of water, or it is within the water. Therefore, we can say that water, it acts as a metabolic reactant. The best example here is quoted of transportation of gases, wherein the oxygen is taken from the blood capillaries, and the carbon dioxide is given into the blood capillaries during the phenomena of respiration. Then the next is adhesion. The next property is adhesion. Now what is adhesion? Adhesion means it is the water will have the tendency to stick to the surfaces of other substances. Now to understand this, what we need to know is what exactly makes this water molecule to stick. This is only because of the polarity of water molecule once again, wherein the hydrogen bonds are been getting formed because of the lone pair. Now water molecule tends to stick to other molecule because of the charged or the polar surfaces, for the similar reasons what we have discussed in the earlier, and that is responsible for either, you can say, individual breaking of the hydrogen bond, or for making of large number of hydrogen bond, giving rise to adhesive strength or the adhesive forces. The same phenomena is responsible to rise the liquid into the capillary action. This is against the gravity, which is also seen with reference to the transport of water and minerals from the roots into the different parts of the body during the phenomena of transpiration. Now the next important property is surface tension. Now the surface tension is actually observed because of the intermolecular forces between the water molecule, and this intermolecular forces is because the charges on the water molecules, they enable them to remain together. Less molecules are always seen onto the surface as compared to when you go inside, because the upper part of the surface of water is always seen in contact with the air. As a result, these surface molecules, they have the less tendency to interact, and as a result they will try to form tight bonding with the neighboring molecule, and this tight bonding results into formation of a film like structure. And because of this surface tension phenomena, you must have seen large number of insects like water striders easily walking onto the surface of water. That is because the intermolecular forces are responsible to keep the molecules of water together without any gap, and which leads to easy movement of such insects. In reality, this layer is just the result of water molecules sticking together very tightly, which makes breaking through the water difficult. Now the next is viscosity. Now what is viscosity? Viscosity refers to the tendency of the free flow of fluid. You know that water has the ability to freely float or freely move. That is because it is less viscous. This actually viscosity is a measure of liquid's resistance to flow. In other words, if the substance does not flow easily, it has a high viscosity. Into the diagram you can see the syrup, which is thick enough and it doesn't show easy flow. In the same way, the honey also is highly viscous, it doesn't show easy flow movement, whereas water molecule, it can freely flow because of the less viscous nature of water, right? And with this, I will try to wind up here, so that in the next lecture we'll be understanding few more properties and the chemical properties of water. Thank you.